Yeah, I confess, Father, I confess, 'cause I've been living wrong, I know I've been blessed. I had 1,000 chances, how many left? I've been sinning lately, what do you suggest?
Welcome to Fantasy Football Dynasty. I'm your host here, Jason Allen. We're here with a few of our regular, crew right now. We got Cody out here. We got Gerald out here. We are going to jump right into it because we have a lot of things to cover. But Cody, please let everybody know where they can find us at.
Yeah, guys, we're starting to build a little bit of a following, and it's been pretty cool to see so far. So I'm hoping those numbers continue to grow. But we are at FF Dynasty 1 on Instagram and Twitter, and then we are at Fantasy Football Dynasty on Facebook. Like us, follow us, comment to what we're posting, so that we can know what to improve and what to keep doing.
Also, as a companion to this video we're recording, is some names that we did not put on this recording that we all individually feel very high on. We will put some of those names, and while we're high on them, on our Twitter and on Instagram. So please check out that for some more material that you will not get probably on Facebook or on YouTube. But the NFL stepped up and decided to give us the schedule. So let's go and start with Gerald. Give us one or two games that you are excited about going into this NFL season.
Yeah, there are a couple games that stood out to me just right away. Obviously, Falcons fan getting to see Tom Brady twice a year is going to be interesting. But two big games just overall in the NFL schedule were the Chiefs and the Saints play Week 15. That'll be a good one. And then I think the Bengals and the Dolphins play Week 13. So we'll get a Burrow and Tua again.
Yeah, I was looking Week 1. There's a couple of games I'm going to be watching. Patriots and the Dolphins, getting to see that Jared Stidham, Tua Tagovailoa matchup that we got to see in college. So that'll be pretty cool. For the Chargers, I believe it was Week 7. We're playing the Dolphins, so we could have a number 5 pick versus number 6 pick, assuming Herbert's starting at that time. Tampa Bay and New Orleans. So I think that'll be a real good game. The only thing I'm pretty happy about this year is we only have to play Mahomes once. There's no way that the Chiefs are going to be playing in Week 17 when they have it all wrapped up.
Oh, well, you got season be over by then anyway, so it really don't matter as much either.
Our season's already over.
I'm shocked. Both of you guys think Tua is going to be playing and starting this year?
I think so.
I think at least for the Week 13 game.
Just interested. Let's see. I have the Kansas City and Baltimore game in Week 3. I'm excited to see because I think we all thought that was going to be the AFC Championship last year. Looking at my Niners going back to New Orleans again in Week 10, which could possibly be for the number 1 seed in the NFC. So those are some ones I looked at. I had some other ones with Green Bay playing Brady. I think that's Week 6 that I thought would be interesting to see them match off because we always thought that maybe one day we would see them in a Super Bowl together matching off, but we never got that. So maybe we'll get the next closest thing as a regular season game and maybe a playoff game eventually. This show today about players that are stepping up. We decided that we looked at some players from last year who we thought were okay or had a down year, but we feel this year are going to be breakout candidates either because of the scheme, their talent, the opportunity, or just playing because they're not going to be injured. So to qualify this, we looked at players that had played at least 12 or more games. So that eliminates our Big Bens and guys that maybe only played 5 or 6. So please don't add us about, how dare you miss this guy? He played 6 games. He's going to ball out this year. We looked at guys that played at least 12. We're going to start off with QBs. A lot of these people we're going to name, at least one or two of us agree on, and one person's the odd man out. So we're going to start off with Tom Brady. I think Cody and Gerald both agree on him. And so let's start with you, Cody. Why do you think Tom is going to have a breakout year this year?
Well, I'll put it this way. I think there was a reason you set the over-under at 38 touchdowns for Tom Brady. Brady last year was the QB 12, and he was throwing to Edelman and who else? Brady, he's going to have all kind of weapons around him now. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that Brady's going to be taking a fairly significant step up from QB 12 with Godwin, with Evans, with Gronk back, with O.J. Howard. And then just in that system, I think he's going to be way up there.
All right, Gerald, what do you think? Why do you have Brady as one of your breakout quarterback candidates?
He's replacing Jameis Winston, who threw for over 5,000 yards and was QB 5. So from QB 12, it's easy to see Tom Brady stepping up into the top 6 quarterbacks in fantasy this year.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't see it outside of the realm of possibility as a top 5 finish for him. So I think I'm right in line with Gerald there.
No, I know I was over on the 38 touchdowns, but I just don't see Brady as a breakout guy because I think Brady's always Brady. But then also, I think it is a lot of question marks for Brady. That's why I cut him off my list. I mean, he is older. We don't know what he's going to do in that system. We don't know if Bruce Arians' scheme fits with him. We had questions about his deep ball. We know Bruce likes to air it out. I did have him going, probably throwing 40-something touchdowns. So if he does that,
it's weird to think of Tom. Yeah, it's weird to think of Tom Brady as a potential breakout.
I had one breakout guy that none of us had on our list. So mine was Baker Mayfield. I look at Baker Mayfield and realize last year I know was disastrous for him. He finished as quarterback number 20. But like I mentioned in previous shows, I think Kevin Stefanski, if he can mold Kirk Cousins into a serviceable fantasy quarterback, I think he can definitely do that with Baker Mayfield. My only concerns with Mayfield is just the size. But, I mean, we've seen from his rookie year that we know he can throw, he can play. I think Kevin Stefanski is going to protect them with a more run-oriented offense. We talked about the 57% dual tight ends that Kevin Stefanski ran with the Vikings. I think he brings that over. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I can see Baker jumping up into the top 8. Just keep an eye out on that. And like we mentioned before, we'll have other picks of guys that we think are going to break out on our Instagram and on Twitter. So keep an eye on that. So let's roll into running backs that we all agreed on. One of the big running backs we all agreed on was David Johnson. So I'll go ahead and let Cody, you go ahead and cover David Johnson, and we'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, we really covered David Johnson on the free agency moves episode as well. I mean, realistically, in a system, just to repeat, in a system that made Hyde shine last year, I think David Johnson is the offense around him. I think he's going to be that offense because those receivers, you're like we talked about earlier as well, you're just not going to have as many options to throw to.
All right. Let's go and move forward because, again, we all believe in DJ. Real quick, Cody, where do you have DJ finishing, though, if you had to go at the end of the year?
Closer to the back end of the RB1s to the high end of the RB2s.
Josh Jacobs, who most people would have said he probably broke out last year for a rookie. Nobody expected that. Or as some people call him, the price of Khalil Mack. So, Gerald, let's start with you. Why do you feel like this is going to be Josh Jacobs' breakout year?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I feel like he did kind of break out last year. He was RB21 as a rookie, but I see him jumping into potentially the top 12, maybe even a top 10 back. He's going to get all the carries. He should get 250-plus carries on a team that has an underachieving quarterback in Derek Carr and unproven wide receivers. One good stat I had for him was that he averaged 2.25 yards after contact, which was 4th amongst all running backs. So he's a tough runner.
Absolutely. Cody, what are your feelings on Josh Jacobs? Anything different?
No, definitely. I mean, I agree with him. He is a tough runner. I mean, he was on pace for 1,416 rushing yards and 8.6 touchdowns on the ground. So if you pace that out for his entire season, he goes from RB21 all the way up to RB12. So, I mean, realistically, if you get him playing a 16-game season, I can see Jacobs being up there and really breaking out this year.
We can move on. This one's a little different. Le'Veon Bell, myself and Gerald both had him as a possible candidate. For me, I looked at it as since he finished running back 16 last year in PPR, and most people wouldn't even know that. Like, his year was that trash. All the weapons that now they got with Breshad Perriman, which we'll talk about later, Denzel Mims, and we have, again, and I think Sam Darnold takes a step forward. I think that offensive line's a little better. I can see him finishing a lot better, or maybe a top 10 finish. We know he has the talent. We know he has the chops for it. Gerald, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, RB16 was a lot higher than I thought Le'Veon finished. Yeah. Just looking at how disappointing he was for fantasy owners. He averaged 3.2 yards per carry, which was the worst amongst the top 40 running backs. I mean, if he can get that back up to 4 yards per carry, which is about his career average, and only like a tick below Joe Mixon, and adds a couple of TDs, he's right there in the top 10 again.
So every time I talk about somebody from the Jets, you know how we talked about, Adam Gates don't F it up, but I thought about a song I heard this weekend called Floetry, like It's Getting Late, and a part in the song is like, I'm afraid, and she says, don't be. That is me and Adam Gates' relationship.
I'm afraid.
And Adam Gates'
don't be
Like I just want to believe in this offense so badly. Cody, why didn't you have Bell as anything on your list? Did you have anything to send on that?
No, I mean Bell. You obviously can't argue the talent. He's obviously a talented back. I'm just more worried about the situation.
All right, well, then let's switch to a guy that you and me are both high on, James Conner. So Cody and I are pretty high on Conner. Cody, can you tell us a little bit why you're high on Conner? And I see Joe
Yeah.
shaking his head because he's a Steelers fan, so he likes to hear that.
I think realistically the biggest reason I like Conner this year is because he's getting Big Ben back. He had 55 receptions for 497 yards and 1 touchdown in 2018. And then last year he was 34 for 251 and 3. Big to see was his number of targets. He had 71 targets in 2018 when Ben played. And last year he only had 38 targets. So he was not looked at near as much through the air. He also had 12 touchdowns in 2018 on the ground, as opposed to just 4 last year. And I really think that defenses being able to focus on just him really took that away from him.
Yeah, I'm right there with you when we talk about the Conner thing. I think the biggest thing, I'm like you, I think the touchdowns, I could see him finishing with 10 touchdowns on the ground and 3 to 5 in the air, receiving touchdowns. The biggest issue is just staying and remaining healthy. Gerald, you as a Steelers fan, you didn't have Conner on your list, so I know I'm going to put you in a pickle here, but let's say why you didn't feel Conner can make your list.
I think I'm just being cautiously optimistic. I mean, I think, yeah, he was hurt by injuries last year, but also inefficiencies. I mean, obviously his numbers are going to come up a little bit, assuming he plays a full season, but maybe I'm just being cautiously optimistic. If I see a full year out of Conner, I'll be happy.
All right, well, then let's stay right here with you. And let's talk about a running back that you had on your list that neither me nor Cody had on our list. What running back would that be?
David Singletary. Yeah, I had David Singletary on my list, kind of in the same boat as Josh Jacobs, second-year back that I think is going to take a big step up. Finished running back 32 last year, and I see him potentially in the top 25, maybe even top 20. He did miss 4 games due to injury, so it's easy to see a little uptick in numbers. But a full 16 games for him with his averages would have made him RB21 already. So he averaged 5.1 yards per carry, which was 6th best among all backs. So an uptick in touchdowns would definitely push him into the top 20.
But I guess 2 questions. 1, are you afraid that I think Zach Moss will cut into his carries? And then 2, is running back behind Josh Allen, is it not like the running backs behind Cam where they get a lot of those goal line touches and touchdowns?
Yeah, definitely a lot of concern with both of those, Zach Moss and with a running quarterback. There's a lot of variability. Who's going to get those goal line carries? Singletary's not that big, so if Zach Moss starts showing a bigger nose for the end zone, he shows better out of the backfield or something, I definitely see a lot of opportunity taken away from Singletary. But I'm hoping that what he showed in those 12 games last year, I mean, Buffalo Bills are ready to part with Frank Gore. So
let's go to the pass catcher, starting off with receiver. It is a receiver that me and Cody both liked a lot, DK Metcalf. So I'll start on this one. Just, he finished receiver 33 last year, and he had 100 targets. And that was kind of impressive to me. I didn't realize that. I do think that Metcalf is the typical number 1 guy that a guy like Russell Wilson would rather have than a Tyler Lockett. I think Lockett showed that he couldn't hold up physically from being the number 1 guy, even though Lockett did put up great numbers. The only concern I have with DK Metcalf is the route running. And a good way to measure accuracy of route running, especially when you have a good quarterback, is that catch rate. Metcalf had a 58% catch rate, which is pretty bad, but I do see that probably improving this offseason. I can see him definitely finishing in the top 25 and even progressively top 20.
Like you mentioned, 900 yards and 7 touchdowns on only 58 receptions. You get that man, 20 more receptions, I think those numbers are going to be a lot bigger.
Right, absolutely. Gerald, you didn't have him at all. What made you skip on Metcalf?
Yeah, I think y'all highlighted the big one, just the low catch percentage. And I think, I don't know, it's weird with as talented as a quarterback as they have in Russell Wilson. I feel like they've certainly geared that whole offense to be more run-oriented. So it's, just I don't know that there's much opportunity for growth there.
Man, you got me on that one. I actually don't have a rebut for that one. Now you make me want to cross him off my list. So let's see. DK Metcalf, out of here. Here's one that I guess me and you, Gerald, we're in kind of like step here. I should have known because it's a dirty bird. But we got Calvin Ridley. So, Gerald, you and I are high on Calvin Ridley. Gerald, give me some reasons why you're high on Calvin Ridley.
I mean, he's just a consistent route runner and pass catcher. He finished wide receiver 27 last year. I see him taking a step up, maybe even top 15, top 16 wide receivers this next year, with Mohamed Sanu leaving late last year and now Austin Hooper gone. I mean, he's solidified himself as the number 2 guy behind Julio, and he's definitely going to get his looks. He's averaged 7 touchdowns a year in his 2 seasons. So
absolutely, and I'm right there with you. Again, Ridley finished receiver 27 last year. I love the 67.7 catch rate, which is great. I'm noted on this show not being a Hurst fan. So that's going to be somewhere to go somewhere else. And eventually, Superman Julio got to slow down. Like, I just like Ridley. I think Ridley can jump up and be a top 15 guy, a la Chris Godwin last year.
Yeah.
Now, I know Godwin's the steep of the steepest. Now, I think Godwin finished 2 or 3 at receiver. Everybody's focusing on Julio, and he just erupts. Any reason why Calvin Ridley did not make your list, Cody?
Not really, truthfully.
All right, and now I guess we play a little more ISO on Cody. Another one that me and Gerald both agree with, Cortland Sutton for the Denver Broncos. I'm just going to start off. I know he finished number 19 last year, which I think is really, really more than people expected if you drafted Cortland Sutton last year. Now, with the same thing with DK Metcalf, he has that catch radius of 57%, which is not great. But we got to remember, Joe Flacco was throwing him the ball for most of the year. I do think with the added weapons, with Noah Fant probably stepping up more, because tight ends do take a little bit more time, and then you bring in the rookie, Jerry Jeudy. My only concern, besides the catch rate, is that I think in that Pat Shurmur-type offense, you're probably going to get Jeudy possibly more into the slot in that Adam Thielen role. And most of the time, Adam Thielen outproduced Stephon Diggs. So I feel like they're going to make Cortland Sutton be in that more Diggs role. So that is the only thing I have to worry about. But I think even as that rookie has to take a little time to get going, that's where I think Cortland Sutton's going to eat, especially at the beginning of the year. Gerald, let me know why you feel what do you feel about Sutton, excuse me?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely maybe not as big of a step from 19, but I definitely have him in the top 15 this year. And, I mean, yeah, there's cause for concern there with Noah Fant stepping up and then them drafting Jerry Jeudy and even bringing Melvin Gordon, who's a decent receiver, out of the backfield. I think they'll all take targets away. Since he's entered the league, he's had the sixth most end zone targets with 23 amongst all receivers, amongst all pass catchers, actually. So, even with them taking targets away, the opportunity for a lot of touchdowns, double-digit touchdowns, is still there.
All right, Cody, we go to you again as the resident hater in these last 2 seconds. Why no Cortland Sutton? Why any hate on it?
Because he's a Bronco. No, I'm just playing. Just the number of mouths to feed in that offense.
Okay, all right, and so Cody, we will stay and finish with you. You had a receiver that we didn't have on the list that neither me or Gerald had. What is a receiver that you had that you would like to highlight that can have a step-up year this year?
I actually more so of a pass catcher, a tight end is kind of the guy I was wanting to highlight. Jack Doyle. I mean, we all know Phillip Rivers loves his tight ends. Rivers targeted his tight ends about 21% of the time, and then 33% of his touchdowns were going to tight ends. And I feel like that in itself speaks for itself, why I think Doyle's going to be a bigger part of or take a big step up, especially losing Ebron. He's going to be the guy, and I think that's really going to help Doyle's fantasy value.
Yeah, that's not who I thought you were about to talk about, Cody. Your boy Breshad Perriman.
I just thought we were omitting the obvious, man.
I mean, I'm on Gerald's side on this one. Like, you got to keep that same energy, man. You argued us down. And even had me come over to your side. It was like, you know what? Yeah, Breshad Perriman going to be the shit. And then we get step-up people, and the biggest candidate for a step-up Cody didn't even have him on the list. I don't think Cody. I gotta check his papers that he sent us. I don't think Cody even had him on the list.
He's got his own show just for Breshad Perriman.
If people don't know, that's what's going to be on Instagram and Twitter. The Breshad Perriman Love Fest that Cody likes to give him every week.
Yeah.
Breshad Perriman goes 1 for 15 in 3 drops. Cody's going to make sure to remind us that, hey, the breakout is coming. Well, I think that is going to capture the show. Like I said, again, guys, we will have further content on Instagram, Twitter, so that if you want to hear some other step-up candidates that we all three are thinking about, please check that out. And make sure, Cody, tell us where they can follow us at.
You can follow us on Facebook, Fantasy Football Dynasty. You can follow us at Instagram or on Instagram and Twitter at FF Dynasty 1. And you're going to get a whole solo episode on Breshad Perriman.
I don't know if me and Gerald could take that, but I'm pretty sure it's a fan base out there that's going to be, they're the happiest person in the world. They can't believe we welcome that energy. So please, by all means, make your comments now. Make your own list of people that you want to put on a record and saying that you think is going to step out. So when they suck, I can call you out on the show.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
But thank you guys for watching and listening. We appreciate it. And we'll be back with you next week.
Yeah, I confess, Father, I confess, 'cause I've been living wrong.